Good morning, Virginia Library Association. I am Nan Carmack, your interim executive director and chair of the nominating committee for this year for VLA. And we are seeking a treasurer to run, or several candidates to run for treasurer, which is a 2-year commitment. This cycle, we're seeking candidates from public library land. And I have our past 2 treasurers to share with you what that was like for them. Kyle Benaxis, who is at Suffolk Public Library, and Marika Barber at Hollins University. Marika is our current treasurer. Kyle is our immediate past treasurer. So, Kyle, would you share about who you are, what you do, and then we'll pass it off to Marika.
Sure. My name is Kyle Benaxis. I'm from Suffolk Public Library. I am the Technology and Content Strategy Manager. So I'm responsible for all the technology in the library, staff and public, and all of the collection part of the library.
Awesome. Marika, how about you?
Hi, I'm at Hollins University in Roanoke, Virginia. I'm the Information Literacy Outreach and Arts Librarian. We are a small school, and so I wear a couple of hats. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So I want to ask both of you, in your role as treasurer, what did you have to do? What were the responsibilities that came along with that? Marika, why don't you give us a go?
Sure. I was actually treasurer 10 years ago, and
I
I'm
remember.
treasurer again. There's my first point for being treasurer. I've done it twice. I came back, and the main thing is you attend a series of 2-day meetings. First, an afternoon meeting with the executive council, and then the next morning with the full council, including all of the forums and committees. And that happens 4 times a year. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's the main thing. And at those meetings, you represent the financial person who works with the executive director who does the day-to-day finances. As treasurer, you're not responsible for that. You're simply kind of the bridge between that part of the executive director's job and the executive committee and the membership.
Great, thanks. Kyle, how about you? What were some of the duties that you had to perform?
Yeah, that was it's pretty much the same thing. You are kind of the person that reports on the statement of activities that happens with VLA. So you present it, you kind of get, I guess, like a practice run when it's just the executive committee, when we're just discussing everything that we're going to talk about in the committee, the full meeting with all of the chairs and everything. And then you have the full one that is, open to the rest of VLA. You also present the statement of activities at VLA, kind of as like I guess the end part of VLA, so the last day.
At the conference,
Yeah, the
right?
conference. You participate, of course, in just the regular committee and council discussions that happen. And so when I was treasurer, any kind of, if we wanted to purchase anything for any of the forums or anything, or we wanted to offer anything, it was like, well, let's see what the treasurer thinks. And usually I was like, yeah, let's do it. So.
So who prepares that statement of activity? Like, is that something you have to do?
Oh,
Nope.
not
Nope.
at all.
That comes from the executive director.
Mhm.
And actually, I usually meet with the executive director before those meetings so that I understand what it is that I'm talking about in the meetings. And that's where that bridging part happens, and you understand what's going on. I was going to add, there was one thing I did in my earlier tenure as treasurer that was amazing learning experience. The organization needed to move our investments from one firm to another. And so I worked with everybody, the executive director, executive committee on that. It wasn't just me, but it was partly my responsibility. And that was something I otherwise would have never had the chance to do. And it was fascinating.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the bottom line is you're not having to look at the day-to-day numbers and reporting. That's collaborated with the executive director. Okay,
No,
good.
usually you just check it. It's like one, I don't even want to say it's like a spreadsheet. It's like a table. And you're kind of interpreting it for the rest of, the members of VLA, noticing if there's any case like discrepancies, I guess, or if like explanations of like where the money was spent or where the money came from. Usually, whenever there were any discrepancies, it's because, the closing of like the end of business, it just hadn't finished yet, so like there's probably like $100 off or something like that.
Right,
So
right.
you're not really having to do any like complex financial calculations or anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times you're the person who gets to deliver wonderful news, like the
Yes,
conference made a lot of money.
Right.
Hooray. We
we have
have
new
more than a
members.
balanced budget. Yeah,
We have
exactly.
X amount of student memberships that we've
Mhm.
increased, offered the different types of memberships for VLA. So look at all the new members we have, all those
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
Right.
right. That's exciting. So, Kyle, how much time did you spend on a
Um,
monthly basis working on treasury work?
so the meetings themselves were not monthly, they were like quarterly, I would say.
Mhm.
Excluding those, like 3 hours. But if you include like the times we had the meetings, of course, you're just spending the time
Mhm.
in the meetings and spending time with the rest of council. So maybe like an extra 3 hours when you have to, go in to attend the meetings. But no, like 3 hours a month, maybe. That's max.
Okay.
Very max. That's keeping up to date with like the emails, kind of the conversations that are happening
Mhm.
within the rest of the council.
Okay. Marika, how about you?
Yeah, that's about the same. And as Kyle says, you're part of the conversation with the executive committee, which is another cool part of this job is you're part of the running of the organization. And so there might be an email exchange every once in a while, certainly not daily, but sometimes something comes through and then you're checking on and responding to those messages. But that really varies. And I didn't find it overwhelming in any way, just really interesting.
Cool.
And understanding the statement is just really quick. Like when
Yeah.
I was treasurer, it's just, hey, it's this, and then you just repeat that back to the rest of VLA, the members and everything.
Yeah.
The statement that you see on the VLA website, that's pretty much what you're reading, the one that's presented with all the statement of activities
Yeah.
every quarter.
So as I understand it, this role is really almost about transparency for the organization,
Yeah.
making sure that there's somebody looking out for the over the director's shoulder about how our finances are managed, and then being, as you said, Marika, the bridge to the membership. So cool. So I ask you both, what did you learn from being the treasurer?
Oh my God, all the things. How VLA works. I learned a lot about how public libraries work because I'm in an academic bubble here, and a lot of the professional development and service opportunities I get are about my kind of libraries.
Mhm.
VLA gave me the opportunity to meet people from all other kinds of libraries, and that was such a cool thing. I'm still treasurer. Hello. Uh,
A
so
few
that
more months, Marika.
right. That's really enjoyable, and a real gift from having done this position. I really like that.
Yeah. How about you, Kyle?
Uh, you learn a lot about not just, VLA and like all the great stuff that it does and provides, but just like all of the great stuff happening in all of the libraries in Virginia, because you are part of like the committee and you are like in the conversations of like where the money is being spent. Oh, it's because of, this great, the Professional Associates Forum conference or TILC, or we're offering all these different awards, and so we got, the scholarship winners, we're doing scholarship donation. So you see all the great stuff like as it's moving. A lot of the stuff that I learned, I think that like helps me professionally is just like the communication and just like the networking involved in working with different people on the committee and seeing like how they handle stuff in their libraries and being able to have a good support of like this, how can I apply this work into my own work? Because in my position, I am in charge of like all the technology, like invoices and the collection invoices. So being able to see, oh, well, the executive director handles like conversations with vendors like this, I can apply this to like my own work. And being able to organize and understand how, you know, the different finances of VLA work. Also, you just see how much the committee can help, like by looking at the finances and you seeing like, oh, well, these libraries are struggling with this, or this forum or this roundtable is struggling with this. How can us as, you know, treasurer and president and everything, how can we help to support them? And do we have the funds for it? And how can we like make sure that the members are supported and that they feel supported in the library, in the library association.
I love that because it sounds like it's a microcosm of what's happening in your organization in terms of budgetary challenges and opportunities, and how do those decisions get made. You learn a lot about budgeting from being on executive committee and especially from being treasurer. So that's a really interesting
Yeah.
professional development opportunity.
As
And
a
beyond,
not math person, I did not struggle. I can't do math. I have struggles. If you ask me what's 10% of $100, I have to think about it. I count on my fingers. It's fine for me.
A
I did
spreadsheets.
not struggle. Yes, I did not struggle at all.
Okay,
I
cool.
felt very supported in this role, like to be able to handle it.
So your
me
message
too.
is, if you're not a math person, don't turn
Yes,
it down. Right.
don't turn it down.
And I wanted to add on to what Kyle said about the other officers at VLA and the people who are running the forums and the committees are all leaders in their, they're part of their library or leaders of their library. And so it just gives you, it's a fantastic networking opportunity to meet people who are leaders and see how they do stuff and be in the conversation with them as part of the executive board. That's a terrific opportunity that I don't think I would have ever had otherwise.
Yeah. I know for me, serving in various capacities at VLA, it's really helped me keep a finger on the pulse of library issues. You know, what's going on in the larger library land, what's going on in Virginia, and getting out of my comfort zone about what I know and relating to issues that are bigger than me, and having that kind of understanding. So, um, great, that's fantastic. So my next question for you is, what was the most fun about being treasurer?
Hmm.
Hmm. I
Hmm.
think just the meetings that we had with the rest of like the committee, I think they were the
Yeah, the
most
people.
fun. The bonding, the relationship you build. Like it's not, you know, you're just sitting and you're just stoic and like this is the statement. You're like having fun, you're talking, you know, you're making jokes. There were a lot of great memories I think I have when it comes to like going to those meetings. They don't feel as long as like they are because you're just they're long because
Yeah.
we take so many like sidetracks of we're just talking and we're just having fun, and just the people, it's just great. You really make good relationships and you feel a lot closer to the people that you probably have never have interacted with. Like I'm in a public library, I don't really meet with a lot of academic librarians, and at the conference I don't go to the academic librarian, you know, uh presentations
Session.
or anything, or the sessions. Yeah, so it's the time where I meet them all.
Cool.
I completely agree. It's the people. And then to extend that out, it's the people when you're awkwardly sitting on the stage at the conference and trying not to do anything that's too funny looking.
Yes.
But meanwhile, someone's getting a gigantic check because they've just been awarded the scholarship for their graduate study. So it's being part of that is fun.
Mhm.
Yeah. So just for our viewers, I want to elaborate a little bit on these meetings. So the executive committee, which the treasurer is a member of, meets on Thursday afternoons from 2 to 5. And yes, that sounds like a long 3 hours, but there are great snacks and we go to dinner after.
Go to dinner.
And again, as Kyle said, the reason the meetings are so long is because we often spend a lot of time talking about a policy situation or an idea to be pursued. So there's a lot of generative ideation that goes along in those meetings. It's not just report, 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 report. So that's one of the things I love is getting to be part of that creative piece of VLA. And then the next day from 10 to noon is the full council meeting. That is, you can attend that virtually. A lot of forum members do. But again, since you've probably already been there for the executive committee meeting, we're again there in person. And that meeting is a little shorter and we just present what the executive committee had discussed and the forums and committees all get to report out at that meeting. So again, learning about all of the different parts and pieces of VLA is really cool. Okay, so the counterpart of that is what was not so fun about being treasurer.
I think the only thing I could come up with is that, sometimes taking 2 days out of your schedule is difficult. But that, it has never been it's never been a huge problem. You just run into, oh, geez, scheduling. But that everybody has that issue. And I think the fun outweighs the not so. Note that I came back.
Right, Marika, you're a gold star because if you've done it twice, you clearly had enough fun and learned so much on the first one that you're like, yeah, let me do it again.
I really did.
Yeah.
Kyle, how about you? What was
Oh
not so
gosh.
fun?
I would say, because I was gonna say, like, I don't think there was anything that was not so fun. I guess like being up on the stage is not
Right.
because you gotta be up there, you gotta talk at the podium, and I'm not like I don't mind talking in front of people, but I can't do it on a stage. Like it's hard. I don't know, because you're up there and everyone's just like this at you. But that part, but that's me. So if you're fine with that, you're fine with that. But maybe just the scheduling. It is 2 days, but I think just I always was like, oh my gosh, I gotta drive. But I'm like, I'm glad I went. I had fun and I enjoyed it. And I was great to see everyone again. It's not as often as what you're imagining. It's like what, every like 3 months, 2 months, something like that. So it's not that difficult. Some of the I guess it's not necessarily not fun, but you got to just make sure that you got all your explanations all straightened out when it comes to the statement of activities. So every time I've like flubbed it and I was like, oh, actually I was meant to say something. So it's embarrassing a little bit. It's like, oh, I'm treasurer and I just messed up. But everyone, it's all cool. No one's like stressed over it. No one's upset at it. So it's just a matter of, what you feel like you're comfortable with.
Yeah. Well, and also an opportunity to push past what you're comfortable with.
Yes.
I failed to say that these meetings are in Richmond. So depending on where you're located is the length of your drive. And I have the luxury of living in Richmond, but audiobooks, right? That's my companion on any drive.
Oh, every time.
Yes.
Yes.
Coming from Southwest Virginia, yes, audiobooks, definitely.
Audiobooks. Yeah.
But I like driving. I don't know. I'm just a driving person, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So,
and for the executive committee, if you need it, VLA does reimburse you for mileage and does pay for your overnight stay.
yes.
So we put you up in a nice hotel and pay your mileage. So it's not a financial burden on any of our executive committee members.
And I will add that my supervisor was very supportive of me being treasurer. So I didn't feel like I was, abandoning my work to go to VLA. I did have my supervisor's support and he was very happy for me that I was treasurer.
Well, and that's a great segue to the next question I had for you guys. You've both talked about what you've learned from VLA and how it's sort of contributed to your professional development. How might your you make the case to your supervisor to make that time for VLA in terms of what you're learning is contributing to your professional development.
Mhm. So I would say learning opportunities just in terms of like global awareness of what is
Mhm.
going on in libraries and libraries beyond your specific library type, networking and leadership opportunities. And you are also supporting the organization at a time when the organization is so crucial to libraries and now specific public libraries who are facing book challenges, other censorship issues. VLA actually back in 2019 supported our library when we were dealing with a similar issue, which is rare in academic libraries. But there we were, and I knew who to call. And so you are also part of the organization. And while the treasurer doesn't deal with that directly, you're making sure that other people can continue to do that work. And I think that's also important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the networking opportunities, the like soft skills that you learn as treasurer, being able to apply them into your, day-to-day work, that networking opportunity, and you get that connection of like, oh, VLA does this. They've done this for this other library. I am in a library, or we have a library that is also struggling with this. We can turn to VLA. You kind of have that connection of understanding what's happening and like what the capacity is to like support your library. You get to the, I guess, like camaraderie. You get the like uh not just between like who you're working with on the committee, but just also at VLA, because you are familiar to the members of VLA, and I feel like that is a great kind of sell to the supervisor that you're able to build these relationships outside of just your library and maybe create partnerships and connections. And I mean, honestly, like who doesn't want to say like my librarian is like the treasurer of VLA? Like, wouldn't you wouldn't you want to say like my staff is on the committee? So it's
Great.
I think it's a very positive um experience. And when I was treasurer, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, congratulations for being treasurer!" So everyone in my library was very happy for me, and the commitment was not outside of the meetings. The commitment is not like texting on like your day-to-day work at all.
Both of you just reminded me that VLA work, representation of VLA, is not a one-way street, right? You're not just giving to VLA of your time and talent, you're bringing VLA into your institution
Mhm.
and educating the people around you and utilizing the tools of VLA in your own circumstance. And you both give really good examples of how VLA leadership opportunities feed your organization, from reputation and the professional development you bring and knowing knowing who to call when you need help. Those are really great examples of that two-way benefit, not just to you as someone, it's a great resume item, but also it's just great for your institution to have that finger on the pulse of what's happening across the state and nationally. Awesome. So my final question for you is, what would you say to someone who's considering nomination for treasurer? Kyle, why don't you go first?
Do it. Do it. It's really fun. I was hesitant. I admit I was hesitant on it because I was like, I don't know how to be a treasurer. I was never treasurer of anything. I can't do math. How much math are they gonna expect me to do? I can't like I can't do it. But I really like once I was actually in it, I felt completely supported and I didn't feel like I was floundering at all. I think it's a rather than being like thrown into the deep end, you're going down like the little stairs the pool got. So it's like that, and you feel very comfortable, and you won't feel overwhelmed. It might you might interpret like kind of everything that's going on, and it might be hard because, you know, if especially if you're new to library world or new to Virginia, you're like, I don't know everybody that well, which is kind of how I felt. It was like my first time being around so many people from outside of my like little bubble that I was in. It really like opened up. Like it just, you feel just all the great stuff that VLA does. And I think it's a great opportunity. If you feel hesitant about it, I feel anybody can, any past treasurer, current treasurer can talk to you about it. But, you know, being treasurer is all about transparency. I feel like everything that, you know, this is a position. It's pretty straightforward. There's no like gotcha, there's no, you know, catch all or anything. It's 3 hours of work a month at max, like at max.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not doing anything for a month, and then
Yeah.
just the 2 meetings in Richmond. So
Yeah.
if you're hesitant, I mean, the worst thing happens is you get a no, but the best thing is you could get a yes. So might as well try it.
Hey, how about you, Marika?
What Kyle said, and specifically also, we've got you right. You're not going to be doing this on your own. When I got started, Kyle and I met, and Kyle caught me up on everything that was going on, so that by the time the first meeting came around, I knew what needed to be done, and I knew what the ongoing issues were. And I will be here for the next treasurer. We'll talk. I'll let you know what's going on. So you're not going to have to figure this out on your own. That's a longstanding tradition,
Yes.
and we'll make sure it continues. It's been a terrific opportunity twice, and I would encourage anyone to do it.
Great. And I can say that the executive director, whether it was Lisa, whether it's me, whether it's the new person that we hire, we're
Mhm.
not going to let you fail.
No.
This is
Right.
the job of the director, is to support you in success. So great. Well, Kyle, Marika, thank you so much for being with us and for sharing your experiences as VLA treasurer. And for those of you watching, I do hope you'll take into consideration Marika and Kyle's do it message. And you would do that by emailing me. And then the email that you got with this video link in it, my email is in there. It's simple. It's nan@vla.org. Best email address I've ever had. So please do just let me know. And if you want to talk about it some more, I'm happy to chat over the phone or over Zoom to allay any concerns that you may have. So with that, we will bid you adieu and wish you a wonderful day. We would like to hear from potential nominees by June 5th. Would be really helpful. Elections happen in August, and there's a lot of behind the scenes that have to happen. So June 5th would be the deadline. So thanks so much, everybody, and I hope to hear from you soon.